Globespan is a Guyanese dialogue moving towards the realization of one nation in one Guyana. It's a platform that offers an all-inclusive discussion with the pros, the cons, the ones that have taken a side, and the ones that stand in the middle. Globespan believes agreeing and disagreeing are part of the nation building. Globespan believes that every Guyanese voice is part of the nation building. As we span the globe for voices from the diaspora and those living home, we stand on our commitment that we are all Guyanese working towards one nation in one Guyana.
This land is our land now.
As the world turns on its axis, bringing changes, we as Guyanese must adapt to those changes for a better Guyana for all. Globespan stands on its axis with its belief that one nation, one Guyana, one destiny must include voices from all corners of Guyana.
We ain't giving up no river that belong to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, my brothers and sisters from all parts of the United States, in the diaspora, Canada, Guyana, Trinidad, wherever you're joining us tonight. As we mentioned earlier, in this week, we put out programs every night for this week prior to election. We wanted all of our viewers to be in touch of all the developments and what's been happening in Guyana. So while I'm making these basic announcements, please go ahead and share the program. And also, if you're on YouTube, press the like button so that the subscribe button, so that every time we go live, you will be notified. So Globespan is in its 6th year. We have been offering a community service for all voices. The platform invites all political parties, civil and religious leaders to share their opinions and address their concerns. You could reach Globespan by calling 631-782-8694, or you can email support@globespan24x7.com. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we have a couple of very well distinguished men with us tonight. They're mainly from the diaspora, and I believe the diaspora conversation and connection with Guyana has always been so deep-rooted that it's mainly just a geographic border that keeps us away. So on tonight's program, we have a couple gentlemen that are running late. Mr. Mike Singh, he's running late, got caught up in a meeting in Guyana. We also have Mr. Colin Haynes, who will be joining us in a few minutes, and he also just got off a flight. But in the meantime, we have the Mr. Dr. Tara Singh. Dr. Tara Singh, as you know, has been on Globespan many times before. It's been a while that he has joined Globespan programs, but we certainly welcome him back to be with us and to be able to share in this discussion. Dr. Tara Singh has always been close with the People Progressive Party. He's always been a very big supporter of them, and certainly he has also been very active in our community locally here in Richmond Hill. In addition to Dr. Tara Singh, a social and political analyst, we have the Honorable Albert Baldeo. Albert Baldeo is the State Assembly District Leader, and he also has been very, very active, not only in the diaspora here in New York, he's also taken a keen interest in all of the developments, the political, economic, and all the different changes. He's in Guyana. It's really as if Albert Balde never really left Guyana.
You're so
Once
right about
again,
that.
welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I want to get started. Since Dr. Tara Singh has not been with us for a little while, I really would like to give him the first opportunity to just bring us up to date in terms, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, Dr. Tara Singh, just to tell us what you, from your position, how are you seeing this election unfolding leading up to Monday, September 1st?
All right. Thank you very much, and welcome to our viewers. It's a pleasure to be on your program, and thank you for the invitation. This election, in my view, is the most consequential since 1992 when Guyana returned to democracy. This election, from this election, we know many things will emerge. We'll see whether race is still a persistent factor in voting, whether issues are becoming more important in the political conversation, and whether a third party can emerge again. Because after the AFC went very low and they were not doing well, people wrote off the AFC, call it a dead meat. But from evidence surfacing now, it seems that there may be another third party that is rising. So this election will tell us and give us a good insight into that. And this election too may have a lot of casualties because right now going into this election, the PNC is in the worst state. The PNC was never so weak and battered as now, with so many crossover to the PPP, many of its leaders. The AFC is also in a very bad shape. I will look at various people, commentaries, and people who work on the ground, and most of them said the most AFC can come up with is probably one seat. I don't know if they can manage that, but it seems that PNC will lose a few seats to opposition, to other opposition parties, including the PPP. So that is something that interesting to, and it's to be worked out. One of the amazing things is that a lot of people, they know this new party emerging, WIN, W-I-N, but they are hesitant to criticize it for some reason. I mean, I don't want to go into it, but I have my views on that, why they don't want to criticize that. And but overall, I think that this is a very exciting election, and it will draw probably not probably, I know the biggest crowd, the biggest amount of people to the polls. For example, you have 757,000 registered voters, of which 524,000 are likely to vote on the assumption that there's a 70% turnout. You know, historically, there have been roughly in the last two elections were about 70% was the average. So based on that average, is likely or probable it's 524,000 people go to vote, which means for a party to get a seat, they got to poll at least 8,000 votes.
Yeah, quite challenging, Dr. Tarasing. Well, thank you so much for that opening statement. Honorable Baldir, there's 2 points that I extrapolate there from Dr. Tarasing commentary, and 2 points that lead us into a ray of light. He mentioned this election will probably indicate to us if people are moving away from race voting and looking more towards the voting on issues. Those 2 points he mentioned, and I think that's a ray of light for us if this is really what's unfolding. How are you seeing the election from your perspective, Mr. Baldeo?
Well, thank you very much for having me in the program. Of course, I am the elected district leader of the largest diaspora outside of Guyana. I'm informed that the Guyanese living in the diaspora may very well be equal to the amount of Guyanese living in Guyana right now because of the years of migration and people are still coming. And hence, I have been on the ground and I've been hearing this. And I like your remarks that it's as if I've never left Guyana because I open the papers, I read them, and like every other Guyanese who comes or goes abroad, our heart and our feelings are rooted in the sentiments of Guyana. And that's our native land. That's where our navel string is buried, so to speak. And we will always make sure that we make the calls to Washington, we make the calls to Congress, we make sure we call the Secretary of State, preserve Guyana's integrity and sovereignty against Venezuela and any other threats. And by the same token, I want to tell Guyanese, you are lucky that you don't have external forces there in the sense that when we run for elections, for example, I ran for the state Senate, which is equivalent to a geographic area as large as Guyana. And there you have Italian American candidates, you have Jewish American candidates, you have Black American candidates, and you have like Italian American candidates who came here before us. So whenever they vote for their own. Like Howard Beach is Italian, Ridgewood is Irish. And these are the areas that surround us. And even Ozone Park and South Ozone Park is mainly Caribbean. So when you get elections over here and someone wins, you're left out of the table of government. But in Guyana, it's only a Guyanese is elected, a Guyanese. So if, that's why I say from that point of view, Ms. Nohar, Guyanese are lucky that they're having one of their own, one from the soil. They see artificial divisions, and that must stop. They must unite, and they must seize this opportunity and respect the ballot, whichever way it may go. That is how elections are run. That is how democracy is upheld. And I agree with you. It's a consequential elections, but we must vote and exercise our franchise. But what I don't like is a culture of fear that when you ask people, contrary to this more developed countries here in the American democracy, they're scared to tell you or to express an opinion. They're afraid to tell you what they feel about the PPP, PN, APNU, or those two major parties. They should not be. You are free people. You are Guyanese at the end of the day. You must be proud of who you vote, and you must thank God you still have that vote because we came from colonial times. And you must proudly vote for who you want to. That's your
Yep.
democratic and sacred right. And we must move away from the culture of fear, where the fear individuals who are in government or out of government or whatever they may be, and the thugs and so forth, they are scared and they must not be.
Yeah, but thank you, Honorable Balder. You know, on that note, Dr. Tara Singh, I want to put you in a little hot seat there. You know, Globespan 5, 6 years ago, we used to have basically all of the PPP members used to be in Globespan. If President Irfan Ali, I believe, Vice President Jack Dare used to be in Globespan. We also have Anil Nandalal, uh, Minister Bishop, all Prime Minister Sam Hines, they all used to be in Globespan while they were in opposition and then leading in also into government. And then suddenly they started to stay off of Globespan. We send messages, we do invites, and but the backdrop of my question to you, Dr. Tara Singh, and is that Globespan really wanted to make a difference. We wanted to be a different sort of platform because for 59, 60 years, our country has been divided. And I grew up just listening mainly from, the narrative from the PPP. We grew up as an Indo-Guyanese, and that's all I heard. But then when I started to hear the other side of the narrative, it brings matter clearer. And not that they are correct all the time, but certainly gives us an opportunity to hear the other side. So I guess what I'm asking is that Globespan has been trying really hard to try to keep a diverse conversation with the two main political parties, with third parties, with civic leaders. But a lot of the PPP members have stayed off the platform, and I still am very puzzled. Any idea, any comment on that?
I, you're right. That's a very difficult question. I believe it may due to they may be tied up. I myself, we have problems to get in touch with them. At the beginning, we had most of them appearing, but after a while, just a few of them will appear in the program, and many of them will tell us they're tied up. They can't make it. They are busy with matters of state, etc. But there might be. I'm speculating here that how they perceive the program evolving. I really don't know. It's hard for me to tell. All that I can say is that in our program itself, we are finding it difficult now. Over the past 4 weeks, I've reached out to all the ministers, the president, the vice president, to appear even for a couple of minutes in our program. They said they don't have the time. The schedule does not permit. One minister told me that she's in the interior. If she comes out, she'll see if she can get time. Now I understand that this time it is very hard, but it's not easy. I don't know. I think that ministers and public officials in top position should always make themselves available to the press.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Thank you
so,
for that.
but
And
I
Mr.
really can't
Yeah,
tell you because I myself have that problem with many of them
yeah,
uh, can't
yeah.
appear in our program.
Right. Mr. J. Barrett wrote, it's the PPP lost not being on Globespan, PPP. And he also wrote before that PPP has been the only party that has a diversity at its meetings, speakers list. They seek out to win crossovers. Um, Dr. Tara Singh, and I would also, ask Honorable Albert Balder to comment on this too. I grew up knowing the PPP, and some of us are former PPP, some of us are still PPP supporters, some of us are standing at the sideline as independents. But what I would like to get across, the time has changed, the population has changed, events are changing. And just as we need to accommodate changes, one of the things that we can be able to do better, Dr. Tara Singh, being that you are such a veteran and a strong member of the PPP, is that it would be a good thing when we could agree to disagree so that we could help shape whichever political party that we are aligned to, so that, I guess what I'm trying to say is that we should be able to withstand some form of criticism, at the same time some form of compliments, and some, a much more robust narrative among our members, that is, that could help shape a political party. What's your say on that? And Albert, you could jump in right after Dr. Tara Singh.
Well, first of all, I'm not a member of the PPP. To be clear, I belong to no political party, even though people might place me in a particular political position. I I look, I am pro-Guyana, pro-development, pro-growth, pro-development infrastructure project, etc. And any government that stand for those things, I will support them. I have no illusions about that, and I know many of my colleagues will do likewise. Like in our program, none of the people, none of the scholars who appear in our program are members of PPP, and but they will give their views rationally. They look at the evidence, analyze it, and they are hardly swayed by fake news and the massive flow of disinformation. Now, as in Ghana, there's an industry of misinformation and disinformation. Fake news is prevalent there in America, all over the world now with the growth of social media. So we got to be very careful. People might distort even what we say. They hardly can distort what we write, but that is what we say. So I agree that there should be a healthy exchange of ideas, um, because the whole course of history was developed by this dialectic, thesis, antithesis, and then synthesis. So we have this discourse, and I think the evolution of society was based on the dialectic approach, and we need conversation of that nature. But the trouble is, often the conversation is not civil, and we got to learn to be civil in our
Absolutely.
conversation.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. And one of the comments I make in Globespan all the time is that we don't have one of those colorful platform. And I use the word colorful mainly from the standpoint of where you go on some of the other platform, it's a shout down, it's a scream down. We have a very mature, and we all agree to disagree. Albert Balder, how can we get all of our political parties, not just PPP, but APNU and AFs, to entertain more of a robust conversation so we could develop better ideas and sort of, have a way forward where everyone's voice could be counted rather than being, pushed aside, or you're not allowed to criticize a political party. What's your take on that, Albert?
Well, there should be a national government or a national advisory committee made up of all intellectually placed Guyanese, people who've had experience, people of different denominations, religious leaders, civic leaders, business leaders. Guyana, the time has come for Guyana to have a national front advisory body, if not government, to which any government of the day should give credence and respect to, including the diaspora. We in the diaspora have always been taken advantage of. We're good enough to send barrels, good enough to keep democracy in Guyana, good enough to go to bat for Guyana when Venezuela and other threats come up, but we're not good enough to be complimented or thanked for the work we do when we ask for nothing. And this has been a crying point in the diaspora that folks here, for example, Noir, there's no more PPP than me. I was born a PPP. I grew up at the PPP in Better Hope with the CUP, always known about the CUP and the great leadership of Dr. Cherry Jagan. I've always said he's the father of the nation. So I want everybody to know as I look them in the eye that if I were to criticize the PPP or anybody in the show, you are not more PPP than I am. And therefore, you must take criticisms and recommendations very, very objectively. This world is changing. It's a very global place. There's a marketplace of ideas. No one knows everything. Whether you were a former president, whether whoever you are, there's room to learn and room to improve. For example, there is in the campaign strategy not to mention your opponent's name. And I believe that why the third party win is getting so much traction is because they're advertising him for free. They're always criticizing him as underwear, whether it's slack or too tight, and all sorts of nonsensical things attacking him and making him famous and making him the underdog. Now, in my experience, and I've run more elections than them and so forth and challenging stuff in America, where you don't have PPP and PNC, you got to go on who you are. And as an immigrant, that is not an easy road to travel, and that is not an easy benchmark to reach. So my advice to them is that I don't know who's advising these parties, but a lot of them are falling short. They're not going door to door. They're not pounding the pavement. They're not campaigning the right way. They're getting too petty and trivial, and therefore they need to come to the table and come together to answer your question, whereby they'll be able to work together. Now, from the polls I've seen, Noir, and I don't mind if you can put up. I think you had one of the polls last night. I saw it with that PPP stalwart Ralph Ramkaran, who was so horribly treated and kicked out. He himself said he was kicked out of the PPP. How can you do that to a stalwart like Ralph Ramkaran? And this is where we are missing in our entire politics. And when you have the PPP roll call, you got Anil Nandalal, number 9, you got Vindhya Prasad, number whatever it is, and all these folks, you got folks with rapists and stuff at number 4 and 5. All these are wrong things that you are doing, and Dr. Frank Anthony. All these guys are very low down, and yet these are the guys who legitimately won to be president in the last elections. So we are not going to stand by the diaspora and see unfairness and prejudice and subjectivity. But the best answer to your question, Nohar, the other part that you really asked me about is if I can see that poll that you had that had appeared on your show. I don't know if you have it, but I'll be happy to address it because that is one of several polls that are pointing to. Do you have it, Nohar?
Albert, do you mind if we could bring that poll up just a little late into the
Okay,
program?
no problem.
Things
But the
along.
way that you answer your question is that by divine intervention, as long as there's free and fair elections, and I'm accustomed to working with people from the other side, it seems that Guyana will have to work together. Guyanese of every race, class, and ethnicity, I think these elections, the way they are blowing, will force them to work together as a national front government. That is, in other words, you may very well have a minority government. So those out there in leadership positions, all the members of the party, from President Ali to Azruddin to Norton and everybody else, Manza and all of those, and Nigel Hughes, you will need to come together at some stage and form a national front government because you're going to have a confidence vote.
Yeah.
It's pointing to the fact that there'll be a minority government. We need to move on quickly because you can't get like 5 months and you don't got election results and you got American interest there. Americans aren't going to sit idly
Albert,
by and allow
yeah,
that to happen.
we'll come to that. We'll come to that. And just another comment Mr. J. Barrett posted here. PPP does not have the tolerance for different views. You have to line up with the party line. They have to be more open, hope they change in the second term. And, that's a very positive thing for Mr. J. Barrett to write because Dr. Tara is saying it is very important for any political leadership to be able to listen or to pay attention to its base, to its supporters, to the people that believe in them, put and extend their trust in them. Just a mere disagreement with them, automatically you're branded as being anti-PPP or anti-APNU. And in this case here, I have a fan. He's on every night with me. His name is Mohammed Amal Khan. That's what he posts. I think he's the Hussein guy. They get paid in different ways. They get paid directly. Some of them get paid through contracts. Some of them get paid through, they get duty free and they resell it. And they become the spokespeople out there on the public platform, badgering you if you want to be able to entertain a healthy discussion. But I do have another fan for Globespan, Mr. Neville Seidel Tal, and he was quick to defend. And I thank you for your comment as well, Mr. Neville Seidel. Nohar is more humane than you think. He will not associate with Muhammad. This is because Mr. Amal Khan is saying Nohar is being paid by the Muhammad. But by the way, Mr. Khan, I have my blue watch on, so I'm not sure if that makes me. I wanted to wear my blue shirt as well tonight, but I realized that you would be on. But I would like to say something later in the program to him. Welcome, Mr. Colin Haynes. I know you just got off an airplane, went through immigration and in Miami airport there. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Anwar. Thanks for being on the show. It's good to be back. I see some familiar faces. I was thinking that
How are you, Mr.
that
Haynes?
Baldio, you got to send me a Christmas gift. We're on.
Yes, yes. My blue is not a reflection of any particular affiliation. I also have the red in my pocket. I just want to make that clear.
Oh, you're
Not too
politically
late,
correct.
Baldio.
Yeah. Yeah, and Dr. Tara Singh, this is something you probably may want to have a discussion offline with, that how important it is for us not to be, to have healthy discussions without being labeled as a specific anti this and anti that. Moving on to the discussion, though, gentlemen, I want to move straight into the political health of our country. We are now an oil-rich nation. Eyes all over the world is looking at us. They're viewing us from a different set of lens. We no longer a poor country. People are not looking down at us. People are looking to make build relationship with us. So our political health is as important, or even probably a little more important, but it is as important as our economic health. And of late, the Carter Center pre-election document spoke about the misuse of state resources and state media. Albert, do you want to spend a couple of minutes on that, and then maybe Dr. Tara Singh, and definitely would like Colin to comment on it
Well,
as well.
first of all, I welcome the presence of the Carter Center. I was the first person to rent my house at below cost to the Carter Center when they came in 1992. They were there from 1990, I believe. And 2 years before that, I left. I had a fully furnished house and I gave them below cost because I knew of the importance. I was fed up with the system that Burnham and Hoyt and these people had, where they were depriving people of democracy. And hence, if anyone wanted to question my love for Guyana, I will take you to the fact that I was the first Guyanese to rent my house at below cost at the Carter Center. Now that the Carter Center has spoken and talked about state resources, they have made a very valid point, at least from the perspective of a person who has run in several American elections. You have to have a level playing field. The laws state that you must have equal access to resources also. For example, if there is a place that gives 30 minutes to a particular candidate, then they must also give 30 minutes to the other opposing candidate. That is how the laws have been implemented to give equal time, equal playing field. So, especially in light of what has happened there with the Carter Center pronouncements, I do not like the retort of other folks who have condemned them and called and said, you can't condemn the Carter Center when they are for you, and then you don't like when they criticize you. Because the Carter Center is the most prestigious organization. And therefore, if they have said that, you need to clean up your act. But coming
Yeah.
back to what you're asking me, Noir, what was that you asked me again?
Your comments on the misuse of state resources and state
Yes,
media.
state
I think you covered
resources
state
are
media.
not allowed in elections or should not be. That is where legislation has to be brought in to show that there must be equal time and allocation of resources and things like that. If, however, a party has raised more money than the others legitimately, then of course it is entitled to spend that money. So it's all about competing and competition to the point where it comes to like the state time on state media that must be equally allocated. And things like what happened there with the Carter Center, there must be swift compliance and not use state resources. And I say
Thank
this
you.
not because I hold the brief for any political party. I say this from my experience of running in several elections in Guyana and my knowledge of the law that we have to come to grips with that law
Yeah.
and comply with it in Guyana.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Tara Singh, one of the comments that came out after the Carter Center report was made public by the Vice President, that the Carter Center omitted certain specific aspects, as if I believe he mentioned something about vote buying, etc. But having said that, though, I'm sure you're aware of the report that came out. And it's a report that spoke specifically on specific items, really, that does bring some concern, particularly if we are heading to be a first world country and not a third world country. Your comments, Dr. Tara Singh?
Well, some of these problems did not emerge overnight. They existed before. When the last government was in power, they used the NCN, the Guyana Chronicle, as their mouthpiece. They wouldn't publish the opposition then. And I agree in theory that they should get some space in the public media. Um, I don't see any difficulty in that. But let's not believe that only Carter Center can represent democracy, even though they started in 1992. You have a lot of observer missions from the European Union. You have the Organization of American States. You have the CARICOM observer team arrived in Guyana recently. So they have, and plus you have local groups that will monitor this election. They have the views. They will submit the report. I don't want to look at one report and come to a conclusion. When I look at all these reports, pre and post election, then I can make a more informed decision. And as to, I want to tackle some other issues, but no government is perfect. I want to say that all governments make mistakes. And the trouble is that people have a tendency to judge this government by perfection rather than by the low quality of goodness. But we can talk about that later on. But as I said, I would not comment further on that Descartes report. I want to see
Thank you,
the
Dr.
other.
Tara.
Mhm.
Thank you, Dr. Tara. But I suppose we could agree on this, right? That post-election, there should be more discussions, more dialogue in how we could reshape our public and political life. Um, Colin, are you there? I see we lost your video.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Sorry about that.
Okay, Colin, I'd like to bring you in. I'm sure you had a chance to probably read the report. Would you like to comment on it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So, I mean, from 1992, I think we've been bringing the Carter Center in to Guyana, and it is admirable. However, I think that over maybe the last 20 or 30 years, majority of it belongs to the current administration in place. We've had erosion of international norms. It is always good, and sometimes this happens on both sides. When it works for one set of people, then you have an outrage from the other set. Last election, there was an outrage. The Carter Center was used as the norm, the Bible, but now the Carter Center now can actually just be ignored. I mean, you have a lot of international norms are being broken. You have trampling on the rights of people, human rights. As you could see, we spoke in the last show about the win candidates having their jobs, finances taken away. So there's clear violations of human rights. You also had the issue where state resources are being used now blatantly. The media, if you turn on to NCN on any given Sunday or Saturday now, you have the People's Progressive Party rallies. I mean, Dr. Singh, I can't agree that somehow we should shun one report, because the same report the last time we found glory in it. But now the fact that we're on the other side of it, we are now, we're shunning it. And this is some of the hypocrisy that exists in our politics that I myself probably don't like. So you've got grave human rights issues. You've got a government that is utilizing state resources, state media, You have opposition media that is being pushed out of press conferences and being berated. And then also, you also are using public funds, which is via the 10-day worker program, um, for political purposes, right? Then also, you're also using state resources. So I pay my taxes in Guyana. Many Guyanese pay their taxes in Guyana. And the same government that we pay our taxes to are taking those monies and those vehicles and they're utilizing it for political purpose. If you've been in government for this long, 28 years now, 23 years continuously, 3 years now, and you're utilizing state resources, that tells me that this is just blatant disregard for these norms. Like I said, they're international norms. Um, there isn't any great
Yeah,
intrinsic law in Guyana, which I think we need to get campaign finance reform and so forth. But I mean, it is just ridiculous,
yeah.
and nobody can actually say that this is okay and acceptable.
Yeah, yeah, and thank you, Colin. Honorable Balder, uh, how can the diaspora engage the U.S. agencies them that could have some oversight in these areas? Now, I'm saying that with the understanding that Guyana is an independent country. We have our independent laws, and we certainly have our independence, but we are self-dependent in many ways and interlocking in many ways with the United States of America. So how can we be able to affect some changes from the outside? Because we are regurgitating the problem over and over every election. And as Dr. Tara Singh pointed out, we always try to hold each government up to perfection. Having said that, though, at the backdrop, we still need to be able to solve our problems progressively so we could become a first world nation. Albert, any linkage with the United States that could be able to help Guyana to move along in this area other than just the Carter Center?
Oh, definitely. I only mentioned the Carter Center, and I appreciate what Dr. Singh said, and I welcome other observers. The more observers, the merrier, the better. The more you will get the whether the elections are fair, because you will have a consensus amongst them or differences, and that will be aired why I feel that and why I feel so. But coming back to what you asked me, of course, America is the policeman of the world. When America, let's put it in one sentence: when America coughs, Guyana gets pneumonia. When America sneezes, the world gets pneumonia. So, and there have been instances of the Black Caucus and the Congress people and the Secretary of State. America patrols the world. It's the policeman of the world. Understand that, guys. And at some stage, if you believe you're good with America and that they're going to tolerate and accept and turn a blind eye, for example, people probably felt the Carter said it was going to turn a blind eye because there was always issues that they addressed in their favor. Don't think that it's like you go before a judge. He likes you one day, he kicks you the next day. This is how America is. Now, if there's substantial evidence, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who has gone to Guyana, who has his eyes on Guyana, where Guyana is now in the eyes of the world, there is no pulling the wool over the people's eyes here. America will act and ensure through economic sanctions, through diplomatic sanctions, through interaction with Guyana. There's already military might there where the warships trained against Venezuela. Those warships can turn in any direction. They're already in the region. So you never know. Politics is such a dynamic and fluid situation. You need to have people that understand this, that America can be your friend today and tomorrow is your worst enemy. And therefore, there is scrutiny and there is attachment to Guyana. And because of the fact that American interests are involved in Guyana through their own folks who have been milking Guyana of its money, and through the fact that they have been working there and getting these contracts and getting all these benefits, they will definitely have what you call locus standi and law. They will have boots on the ground. They'll have the vested national interest. And
Thank you,
anytime
Albert.
America has a vested national interest, it will take action from the
Thank
very
you.
citizens. And we, the diaspora, can ensure that elections and peace and prosperity continue to prevail in Guyana. Having done that to return democracy in Guyana from the regime that was before Cherry Jagan, the father of the nation, we will continue to play that role, that democratic role, and that patriotic and national role for all the people of Guyana, not just for a few.
Thank you, thank you. And RC posted, Noha, would any of your panelists care to comment whether there were observers' missions in the recent Trinidad and Tobago election and how it compares with these missions in Guyana? Um, RC, I think that's a good question for Dr. Bisram, and he should be joining us around 8:30 to give us an update how the elections are progressing in Guyana. But one of the things that came out of the last election in Trinidad and Tobago, RC, is that the majority, or I would say a very significant amount of the PNM voters, which are traditionally the Afro-Trinidadian voters, they stayed away from the polls. They were not happy with the way the country was moving. And we've seen this in this 2025. And also it was very similar in 2010, where during the Manning government, a very significant part of the Afro-Trinidadians, they didn't go vote for the other side. They just stayed away from voting because they were not happy. And that's my some of the take I have heard from people from the last election. But your question is really for Dr. Bisram, and hopefully when he comes on, if we have time, we'll pose that question to him. Dr. Tara Singh, at the beginning of the program, in your opening statement, you mentioned about there may be what we are seeing a different change in our political landscape. The composition of the political parties may be changing, if I could use your words properly, and we may be seeing the rise of a third party, which would lead pretty much to what would be a minority government. And that goes to Rajendra Singh comment saying that there's quite a few Nigel Hughes, Jonas, Globespan, and everybody he's naming that wants an yeah, he said like Nigel, Jabur, Jonas, along with Starbuck News, Globespan wants a minority government. Not sure, Ginger, your comment is correct, but however, the fact of the matter is, Dr. Tara Singh, we are seeing a rise of the third parties in Guyana. So do you foresee, what do you see for the next election? Do you see under the situation of a minority government, how do you see that
Well,
unfolding?
first of all, let me comment a little briefly on Mr. Haynes about use of government resources. As I said before, I do not condone any improper use of the public resources, but the previous government before the APNU FC was using state resources similarly as the PPP is reported to be doing now. But in terms of the election campaign, the PPP has made a dogmatic statement that they are using their own resources to conduct these election campaigns and rallies. I just want to make that clear. Then the other thing is that in reference to Council Baldale, the PPP has done something significant. They have been taking government to the people. They hardly be in the offices. They look at the problems, they respond to them almost immediately or the earliest opportunity to get these problems fixed. And they are there right now in Guyana, going house to house, going door to door, canvassing for the party. They got to explain their policy, how people going to be better off, etc. Now, as to the minority government, I don't share that view. That poll that Mr. Bisram wrote a glowing report on, that is filled with so many flaws. Professor Narain Prasad and Professor Randy Prasad wrote about that today, condemning that poll. I don't know if that poll even existed because I look at it carefully. If you analyze it, you can see a lot of flaws in it. But anyhow, when Dr. Bishram come on, he can talk about that. But I see the PPP consolidating what they had, the 203,000, and they're likely to get another about 50,000 more votes. I see them moving from 51% to 55%. Based on my travels throughout the country, on my 2 last visits, I spent 2 weeks, only came back a few weeks, and I visited several communities. I had meetings with people at Annandale, Bladen Hall, Blackbush Polder, Lenora, Bath Settlement, the Edward Village, West Coast, Berbice. And then just a few before that, I went to Oriala, Epira, and St.
Yeah,
Cuthbert's Mission, spoke to
yeah.
people there. And I don't get a sense.
Don't
I
share the
feel that
views.
people are energized. They will support the PP, and the PP will not lose votes. They will expand the votes, as I said, by 40 to 50,000 in this election.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Dr. Tara Singh. Colin, just to preface before I bring you in, there's a comment here as well from the one of our viewers posted. By the way, Dr. Tara Singh, I don't think that poll was written by Dr. Bisram. There was some different name on it. And when we brought
No,
up that poll,
Mr.
sorry,
Kimball.
I understand that, but he reported on it.
okay, okay. Well, that I didn't see that report from Dr. Bisram. However, uh, well, I want to come back to the poll for a second, but RC wrote, uh, I'm sorry. There was one comment here I wanted to read, but I'll get back to the comment in a second. Um, Colin, there's the poll, which Dr. Tara Singh is clearly saying this poll is flawed. It's not something that reflects what he has seen in the ground. In terms of what you're seeing on the ground, Colin, in terms of the movement, the rallies, and the comments, and everything in the public domain, do you feel in any way that poll is close to what you're seeing, or is it different, or do you agree with Dr. Tara Singh?
Well, first I wanna go back to what Baldio said about the United States being the world police. And while we at times we'd love to hear the United States have an active role, and they do in the world affairs, I think the time has come for us as Guyanese people and our politicians to implement laws, right? Every time it sort of pains me that we have to keep on running towards uh, some other foreign entity to justify domestic issues in a country. I don't think a country can continue to develop and grow when every time we have to be relying on, a Britain, a Canada, a UK, whatever the case may be. And Dr. Tara Singh, in response to what you're talking on the ground, I guess if I go to South, if I go to Lodge, if I go to Buxton, I go to Linden, they'll also tell me that, APNU is gonna win. I mean, you're telling me about Blackbush Polder and Lozignan and these places. These are traditional strongholds of the PPP. But what does the rest of the country say, right? There is no doubt that the current government, the best they can do, and they know this, is a minority government. And while I don't agree with certain aspects of the poll is a more clearer projection to me than what Dr. Tara Singh is saying. I mean, let's be real. Uh, you have a guy by the name of Azuddin Mohammed, all right? And he is also pulling a lot of new voters. He's also going to take from both bases, APNU, and he's going to take some from the PPP. And he's going to take some from some of the smaller parties as well. And so, by that measure, you had a one-seat majority. You won by 4,000 votes the last time, right? And that was one of your better shots. And you've been riddled with corruption. 48% of the country is in poverty. And I can hardly, I mean, I can't, there's nothing in it. Most Guyanese in our most formless being could never imagine that the PPP is going to win 55% of the vote. I mean, this is just partisan to say. But if we're looking at this surgically, uh, if you're going to get 55% of the votes, where does win and where does APNU keep hold? If you look at the APNU rallies, by the way, they've kept their support base. Um, they're turning out ridiculous amount of people. At They don't have all the big money. They don't have all the big fanfare like the government. They're not spending billions of dollars on campaigns, rallies rather. And their support base is intact. Wind is a phenomenon. I went to Region One, and it was phenomenally. I mean, you see the people. I mean, people more than you could think about. You know,
Yeah,
I've seen also them going down to Georgetown, at least
yeah,
20, 30 buses. So there's nothing. I mean,
yeah.
Dr. Singh, I mean, it's
Thank
hard
you,
to
Colin.
comprehend 55% of the vote.
Thank you. And I'm sure Dr. Tara Singh would probably want to respond to that
Yeah,
later. But I
yeah.
want to move I just want to move to Baldir and then maybe keep your notes, Dr. Tara Singh, to respond to that. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to keep him in the loop. I think the important thing here, Dr. Tars, Mr. Balde, would be that have a winner takes all politics in Guyana. One seat majority, budgets are passed. There's not much accountability in terms of feasibility study and big projects. How do you see a minority government? Do you see it being a thing that, in absence of constitutional reform, can this work in the current composition in Guyana?
Well, we need reform. The reason being that it's a winner takes all, yes, and that's a sorry situation. Because in all of the world's greatest democracies, you got the United States, you have sorry, not the United States, you have Canada, you have India, you have lots of Switzerland, Sweden, I think it is too. They have a minority government. However, democracy blows, you have to accept it. Even within the caucuses of the United States, sometimes and many times people vote across party lines because of the specific interests of their constituents. This is not like blind sheep that obtains in Guyana. I think what Charandas did was a moment in history that shows that there is room for independent thought and independent vote. And the time has come for Guyana not to be stigmatized by party, but to be collective and coalesce around issues that are important to the people. And that is what Guyana needs. They need constitutional reform and constitutional amendments. Coming back to what my friend Mr. Haynes was saying, I was just answering a question about the Carter Center and the fact that what's going on there. But I believe that there's room for more improvement and that there's room for more thing. But the problem with that is that the opposition is very weak. And I think that the APNU and the AFC have lost, speaking as a consultant now, they have lost a good opportunity to be a viable force. And Win, on the other hand, has had a lot of sympathy votes because of the barrage of attacks that this man has withstood. And people vote for the underdog. When I ran, amongst all these American families that had generations, they voted for me because I was the underdog and my policies. They wanted to see somebody who is not bought and paid for, an independent mind, a reformer, so to speak. So, in that sense, Win brings a fresh air. I heard this word, a breath of fresh air. And although he has been stigmatized and ostracized and criminalized and what have you, I still believe the people at the end of the day see that as one of them, someone who has to face all these barriers, someone who does not belong to a particular cabal. And therefore, I think that the ruling party dropped the ball in its campaigning. For example, in America here, people want to know how to vote. And therefore, since the PPP has a machinery, they have an International Committee of Democracy group here that has like 2,000 people when you have a fundraiser. And yet none of these people have gone about trying to talk to people to get the votes for the PPP. So there's where there's a wastage of resources. These are people who use the PPP. They were probably never part of the PPP. They were not born a PPP like me. And they
Yeah,
probably don't even know who Sherry Jagan is. And Sherry
thank
Jagan
you.
always adorns my wall, and he sent me a lot of things before because he was my true hero. So this is the
Thank
problem
you.
you have. You have people who use the PPP and don't really do the work, but just collect the money, collect the
Yeah,
big perks and the contracts.
yeah.
And then they switch alliance if another party comes into power. And yet they will criticize us from the diaspora because they feel that we criticize it. They don't know that we are more PPP than them.
Thank you, Albert. Thank you. Dr. Tara Singh, I know you
Yeah,
want to comment and
yeah.
make
I want
respond
to
to
respond to Mr. Haynes.
yeah,
When I
yeah.
mentioned those
1 second,
communities,
Dr. Tara Singh, 1 second. Dr. Bisram, welcome. Welcome on board at Globespan. We will take in your report. Dr. Tara Singh just needs an opportunity to respond to Colin Haynes.
Please let
Then
him go
we
ahead.
yeah, we would definitely. But welcome, and I
yeah,
love your new
um,
hairstyle. Looks beautiful.
Thank you.
yeah, yeah, Mr. Haynes, when I refer to those communities, I was not measuring the level of support that the PP was getting. I was just trying to probe them. What are the issues? What are important to them? So how I measure the support of people, I looking at the rallies, and it's in Facebook. You see the drone shot that can compare with those rallies of the PNC and the Win party. I know that in some rallies, Win get a lot of crowd, even more than the PNC. One of the challenges facing the PNC, that Win is coming sharply to take over his role. They got to be very careful with that. But I personally, I think that Wins will get just 3 seats a maximum. Now, we will know that on 1st of September, who is right and who is wrong. But
Yeah,
I look at the rally, I
yeah,
participated in one, and the crowd was massive with the
yeah.
PPP. All types of people, all races were there. And with the crossover top PPP, PNC leaders to the PPP.
Thank you, Dr.
I,
Tara.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, Dr. Bisram, welcome again. I know you just got to Guyana, I believe yesterday or this morning sometime. We were very anxious to know what's going on there. Could you just give us what's happening on the ground?
Well, thank you very much. Just to comment briefly on what Dr. Tarasing stated, he is absolutely correct. I went to several rallies. I think the PPP's rally is very reflective, huge, massive rallies all over the country, and reflective of the composition of the population. It is truly a national crowd. I think how they're able to do it, I don't know, but this is a very different crowd from earlier elections. I must also point out, in line with the question that you asked, that I have traveled around to many rallies over the last couple of months since the campaign began, and I think it was July 14 or 15 around that time, and even before that, I was in the ground in June. So I have noticed in communities where the PPP flag was not allowed, they are standing and flowing in the winds all over the country, not just in region 4, all over the country, rural areas, urban areas. I think the same is also true of the flags of other political parties. In the past, you would see that APNU flags would not be tolerated in PPP strongholds, and analogously, the PPP flags will not be tolerated in APNU strongholds. So, but in fact, I'm standing right now in a PPP stronghold. I'm only seeing PPP flags. So, in terms of flag display, I have traveled all over the country, and the PPP flags overwhelm that of any other party here, all the parties combined. So, it's a massive display of the PPP. As we all know, crowds don't win elections, flags don't win elections. Elections are won on election day, of the voters coming out. I am in agreement with Dr. Tara Singh. I miss the comments of Council Albert Baldeo. But it is my view also that the PPP will win the elections. I cannot give you a projection of the seats, and there was a poll which has been severely criticized by a few individuals that said the PPP will win, but not a majority. I don't want to comment on the poll itself, other than to say that I appreciate any poll that's being done. Of course, not a bogus poll. Once a poll is done, and that I think it should be published. And so I want to thank Kaito News on any other media for publishing any poll that was done. Again, once an authentic poll was done, I think it should be published. I do not know who the pollsters are or were, and I do not know the interviewers or those who were interviewed. I only know that what I read in the papers, and in that sense, I welcome anything in the media. People are looking forward. People have been calling me, asking me what my views about what I expect as the outcome on Monday, and I just give my view on it of what I think the outcome would be. Except that I cannot tell you how many seats. It is a very interesting election. It is not a very easy election to project or predict. I miss what Dr. Tarasing said of how many seats he's giving the PPP or APNU. He also conservatively gave 3 seats to the win. I'm in disagreement with that. Rather, for my projection, I'll wait out on Monday. The situation in Guyana, unlike in previous elections, is not tense. It really is not tense. People are very calm, quiet. People are going around their business. Um, I don't know what it will be like on election day. As in the past, we all know there were trouble, but I believe everything will be quiet this time around.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Dr. Bisram, if you could just pause and maybe I'll ask Colin. I'm sure he has questions for you. Council probably would have some questions for you. And I see one here. Noah, could you remind Dr. Bisram that the PPP is the state resources? Not sure that's a question. But Colin, do you have a question for Dr. Bisram in his commentary?
No, I don't have a question, but I have a comment. The fact of the matter is, like I said, if you're using state resources, right, then you should have the biggest rallies ever. If you're using 10-day workers and you're paying them, you should have the biggest rally ever, right? Um, Look, in 2015, when I campaigned with the APNU AFC coalition, we had some of the biggest rallies. We had bigger rallies than the PPP, and we only won by 4,000 votes. So crowds don't win elections, flags don't win elections. And I think every time you listen on Thursday, you kind of get an indication that there is panic. You kind of get, recently I've been hearing, Buccaneer Bar Jagdio talking about the fact that don't take a chance with your future. I mean, he's begging now. If you're so confident of winning, you don't have to beg. You don't have to use state resources. You don't have to do anything. You just have to run a clean campaign. Now, recently, we've been seeing now they want to move a lot of polling places to private residents. So, I mean, it sets the ground for funny business. So,
Yeah.
if you're so confident you're going to win 55% of the vote, I don't think you have to do all of these outer line things. And also, I want to say, I agree with Dr. Misram about 3 seats. I mean, win is a phenomenon, and it's a phenomenon among the indigenous community, among the Black community, among the Indian community. And in my predictions, I have it far upwards past 10 seats.
Okay.
I,
Thank you for that, Colin.
I think Yeah, I think Win will surprise a lot of the public. I wouldn't be surprised if it outperform any of the third parties in previous elections.
Dr. Baldir, I'll come to Dr. Tara Singh in a second. Do you have any question for Dr. Bisram?
Yes, I have not questions as such, but some follow up on what he's saying. Gentlemen, in all eventuality, we have to prepare ourselves for a minority government. Whether we can forecast that, what it turns out to be at some stage, in accordance with democracy in all other countries like India and Sweden and Canada and all of these countries operate, there will come a time when there will be a minority government. That is not a sin. That is not the end of the world. It means the people have spoken and we have to respect their views and work together, and we're all Guyanese. You're not like over here in America where we're from all different places and yet we have to work together. It's easier, it's natural for Guyanese to see a common vision, a one Guyana, so to speak. And that will be the fulfillment of Terry Jagan's dream that we should all have one Guyana. We have to go back to the morals and teachings of Cherry Jagan and have free and fair elections and even to work together as Guyanese. Now, I agree with what was said that the smaller parties like APNU and AFC have not really done the work. They had a good opportunity, but I don't think they really engaged in any kind of campaign. I thought the PPP has a machinery and it has a lot of stalwarts there. There's a lot of stuff to see. The Demerara Harbor Bridge. There's a lot of big stuff, big ticket items that they've pushed. And to his credit, President Ali also dances at this hour. You gotta laugh, you gotta dance, stand up on the head, whatever you gotta do this last minute to take your party home, and he's doing that. I don't agree with Colin that they're panicking. This is if it's going to be a panic. Now's the time to panic. You got to panic to get us votes in, as Zoran Mamdani is doing in New York City and beating out the competition. But coming back to what you were saying, I believe that it's better for Guyana to think ahead of a national front government, not a better way to take all. Guyana belongs to every Guyanese. It belongs to us also as in the diaspora. We have always had Guyana's back. We have been kept out of government. We need to have our investments and assets taken care of too. We need to be included in decision making. And one last thing before I go, you have to change the law to include people like myself and others to take part in government there. We don't have to renounce our citizenship from America, and we must be able to run for president. Yes,
Yeah.
president, because we're equally qualified, or even more so. And we have been there. We have fought here. We have a lot of knowledge in all industries, private and public sectors. We also have the skills, engineering, medicine, or whatever. Don't treat us like
Yeah.
outsiders. Don't treat us like second class citizens. Don't treat us like orphan children. Guyana is our heart, and we'll continue to love Guyana. You need
Thank
to
you
love
all.
us back. And that is
Thank
what we
you.
need to have in Guyana, united front government for everyone.
Thank you,
Go back.
Honorable
Okay,
Baldir.
so gentlemen, I've
Um,
been informed minutes ago that Monday will be a national public
Yes,
holiday.
I saw that. It was
Right.
published.
Yeah, and so I think it it might be a good decision, so that people will have the time to go out and cast their ballots.
yeah.
And then they
Dr.
won't make
Tarasingh, do
the
you have any
spreadsheets.
question for Dr. Bisram?
Yeah, not really, but generally, I want to say again in reference to Mr. Haynes that the PPP got to exhort, they plead, them beg people to vote for them because they want to reach this 55% vote to their credit. That's why they're doing that, and they're not taking anything for chances because they're
No,
trying
but
to maximize.
I don't. Yeah,
They're
I don't. I
they're
agree with
trying.
Dr. Tara. I mean, a political party pleading for votes is not begging. It's not. It's not
It's
necessary.
campaigning.
It's
Yeah.
of panicking. All political
Fancy
parties.
word to say you're begging.
Yeah.
Let's not play with words.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Dr. Bisram,
I
Dr. Bisram, I have a question for you.
I
20,
know her if you can just one of the things that we mustn't miss in any political discourse, we have to look at the leadership of the party. A leader must have a vision, the leadership style might be one of likability. You can got the best policy, the best machinery. People don't like you, they won't vote for you. And we got to understand. And then a leader should also, what will be very helpful to a leader if he's charismatic. A charismatic leader draws people to him naturally without exerting too much pressure. Now, which leader in Ghana you can regard as charismatic? Probably Nigel Lewis and Irfan Ali.
Okay.
Colin, you got a
I
plug there,
agree.
Colin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Colin, you
No.
got a plug.
No.
Yes,
Go on.
yes.
Yes,
I'm
you got a
happy.
plug.
I'm
Yeah, I
happy.
have a
I'm
question for
happy.
Dr. Bisram. Is it okay,
Uh,
Dr. Tara? Do you need more
No,
time
no,
or?
another charismatic leader, Amanza Walter Desire.
Okay,
okay.
all
He's
right.
fantastic, articulate, bright, beautiful, everything.
Fantastic. This is
But
improvement, Albert. Dr. Tara Singh is recognizing Miss Amanza, Nigel Hughes. I mean, Dr. Tara, that's very bold, but that's very transformative because that's what we're trying to do on Globespan, bring in all sides and being able to look at all Guyanese as human beings. Dr. Bisram, I have a question for you. 2015, the voters list was 583,000. 2020 went up to 645,000. These are all registered voters. And now in 2025, it increased another 17% to 757,000. Dr. Tara Singh referred to uh, uh, per seat, it will be just about 8 or slightly over 8,000 votes. My question to you, the increase from 2020 to 2025 is 112,461 new registrants on the voters list. Do you have an idea the composition of that additional voters? Are they mainly youths coming into the campaign? What's your take on that?
Oh, if you're asking me, I don't know the answer. I don't know if Tara
uh,
knows the answer.
okay, I can answer that. About over 92,000 will be the youths running from 13 to 18. They would have been eligible to vote and they would have been registered. So the bulk of that will be the young
The youths.
population to build up the votes.
Okay. Dr. Tara Singh, in terms of looking at some of the rallies and in analyzing the composition of these rallies, you'll find a lot of young people going behind in the win at the win rallies. You find some in the PPP as well, but do you see in any way that the young generation or the young voters are not going by race, but rather really on issues or who they feel could be their
I,
leader?
I can see a movement, not rapid, but a gradual movement towards issues rather than race. I can see that developing. My travel throughout the country, and I look at the various parties, rallies, etc. And that's a good development. Like, I cannot speak for the PNC or the WIN or any other political party, but I know from the PVP at least about 25 or 26 youths are in their candidate list.
Okay.
Young people, they have one as young as 18 years, I think.
And I think what you said there is a ray of light for all Guyanese, that if it is that Guyanese are moving away from race and political parties more on the issues, I think that bear significant promise towards the trajectory and where our country would be heading, and certainly gives us a lot of hopes. Dr. Bisram, there's a lot of talk of Region 6, which is normally it's a huge PPP stronghold. Some are saying it's really up, it's a toss up. Some are saying 33% penetration by win.
Yeah.
What do you have a sense of what's happening in Region 6?
No, I think PPP is well ahead, followed by Win and the APNU.
And how do you see Region 4? At the election day, when all the parties were presenting their candidates, there was a substantial amount of people also that came from within the Region 4 area that were following the win flag. Do you see a penetration in Region 4?
By Win,
Yeah.
it's very hard to say. A lot of people are very cagey. They're not revealing exactly how they plan to vote.
My last question to you, not probably my last one. There's also accusation from all the political parties that they're busing and they're taking people and and even Colin mentioned 10-day workers or so. But in the Amerindian areas, the indigenous area, the remote areas, you really can't take buses or so in there. And naturally, you don't have all of those boats. But yet, there's a substantial amount of people that's turning out for a win, and also for the PPP, but
That's
not as
correct.
much. Yeah. How
That's
do you see those regions going?
people have attributed motive on both sides of those two large parties. So it's very difficult to say, but I give the PPP the edge of winning a majority, or I should say the most Amerindian votes.
The most Amerindian votes. So just to recap, Dr. Tara Singh's projected I think he said three or four seats for win. And the reason why we are kind of talking about win, because that's the greater penetration as we could see from a third party. Colin disagree. He feels that there's going to be about 10. I believe you also said, Dr. Bisram, you disagree with Dr. Tara Singh on that. There may be more for win. Um, do you see more than 3 or 4 seats for win?
It will be more than that. Yes.
Yeah.
It'll be more than that.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so going to Albert Balde for a second. Albert, that
So
would
so so,
pretty
so Nohar, can I be excused now? I have to run to a wake.
absolutely. We want to thank you for contributing your time, and
Tha-
hopefully you'll report to us back on Monday. You'll be with
Here.
us on the
All right.
panel.
Right.
Yes.
No problem. Thank
Thank
you again. All right. Good
Uh,
thank
night.
you.
All.
Good night, guys.
Um, so Albert, some really good stuff has come out of this discussion. Dr. Tara Singh and both Colin and Dr. Bisram identified there's changes in the voting pattern. We may be slightly moving away from race, and certainly there is also penetration beyond the main political parties that we have known. So it's really coming to a point now where we probably may start voting country over political parties of race. Um, what advice would you give, Albert, in terms of us continuing to move in that direction?
Well, we have to continue to put country, nationality, nationhood, one Guyana above party. Like I said, Guyanese have not lived in other countries where you're ostracized, you're marginalized, and you're treated with contempt, and you will never live the fullness of the American dream or the English dream, the British dream of Canada. So be proud and glad for who you are, and admire and respect what is patriotism. The time has come when you have to accept each other, whether there is a national unity government, a national front government, whether the PPP joins with win in getting a majority, whether the other parties join against the PPP and get a majority government, you have to start addressing the issue of inclusiveness from Tuesday next. You have to start addressing how can we, brothers and sisters, work together. No one's daddy gave them no land in Guyana. Nobody owned Guyana. Nobody made it to say, well, this is me. It belongs collectively to all Guyanese, especially and including people in the diaspora. Understand that because we have kept the Guyanese economy alive and kept Guyana's well-being by lobbying and fighting here for you. So respect my simple advice. You will never reach the level you have in Guyana in any other man's country. For example, how can I, Albert Balio, run for the highest office in the land except vice president and president? I could be mayor, I could be governor in another man's country. And as much as I'm an American citizen, this is not where I was born. And in Guyana now, I got to renounce citizenship to become a member of parliament or to become a prime minister, a vice president, or whatever. That is backward way of thinking. You have to include everybody. You have to include the Tara Singhs and the other, the Nine Prasads, all these professors into our system. Make use of the rich culture, education, and skills. Noah landed the first airline in Guyana. People forget that, Noah. These are people who have gone through
Thank you,
business, who
Albert.
knows it. So
Yeah,
therefore, you have to inculcate all of the great wealth and knowledge and experience that we have in the diaspora back into Guyana and start preparing yourselves. That's number one.
thank
And
you.
number two, start thinking of how we're going to be each brother and sister's keeper because America is looking to continue to give you 2% of their oil money and Venezuela and Maduro is trying to take away your land. So you need to
Yeah.
unite now and have a national patriotic front government or lose everything.
Yeah. Dr. Tara Singh, you're elder in our community, you're elder among the PPP members, and certainly your voice matters. I'm very sure the higher ups in the PPP take your phone calls. But here we may have an opportunity to move beyond race and party. Our country has been too divided for too long. Our people have suffered enough, given the asset and the riches of Guyana. As Albert just pointed out, the oil money may be going somewhere else. The gold money is going somewhere else. The timber money is going somewhere else. They're all
Bauxite,
the agriculture, the bauxite. And you know what else is going somewhere else, Dr. Tara Singh?
brain drain.
Us,
That's
the people of Guyana. So what advice would you give these political parties post this election here in terms of us building a country
well,
together?
I would like to see the movement towards issues continue, less emphasis on race, uh, greater inclusion, and as the current government. Now, by the way, I'm not a PP member. I just support them in this election, and so I want to make that clear. I don't belong to any political party, but I see this election as very consequential after the 1992 one. And what is very fascinating to me is the energy that people put into party mobilization now compared with prior elections. And the young people involvement is terrific, as you noted. And
Mhm.
that is a good sign for the development in the future. The other thing is, I just want to mention quickly, and maybe Mr. Haynes can respond to it. He said Ghana poverty is 40 something percent. That is dead wrong. Ghana poverty level is way below that. That was a figures done by the World Bank based on 2019 data. Since then, unemployment is just about 3 or 5% in Ghana, 3 or 5% in Ghana, and there's job for almost
How
anybody
can
who
you
wants to
justify
work.
that, Dr. Singh?
Yeah, so go
Where's
ahead.
the report? Because the report came from UNICEF a few years ago that said it was 48%. And let me say this, that there hasn't been any um, indication or any effort by the government to address poverty. I tell when I talk about the woman with 3 kids and I talk about the woman with 2 kids, these are real people that I know that are suffering, that are working and suffering. And also, you can look this up now. The purchasing parity of Guyana, because of oil and gas, has gone up to now almost 60,000. So the GDP per capita for the country is somewhere around 10 to 20,000. So you're living a $6 lifestyle, but you're only making $2, and that'll put you below poverty. So I hear this all the time from PPP supporters talking about the fact that there is no poverty and these kind of things. Look, the World Bank, UNICEF talked about this. They talked about severe wasting in children. They talked about malnutrition. They talk about starvation of children under the age of 5. This is all verifiable, and it's about 3 or 4 years data that is verifiable.
Right.
So show me
Yeah.
the unemployment numbers. Where
Um,
you getting 3% unemployment? I'm from a town
Gentlemen,
where unemployment is at least 30%,
Well,
Linden.
no.
um,
Let
And
me
a,
just
and a 3-day worker, 10-day worker is not employment. It's not real employment. It's not real wage.
okay. They got a new labor survey. I can see that, but let me just point out again that all the pockets of poverty that exist in Ghana, I visit. I do hamper outreach to drive on those communities. I can name them, and there are very few. The poorest region in Guyana are really the Amerindian area that have the highest poverty rates. Right now, I spoke to several businessmen. They will tell you, even an ordinary laborer, you got to pay him at least about 20 or 30 US now to clean the yard. And
yeah.
the
Um,
Robbie Day was on the program. He was saying he needs somebody to do some carpentry work in the house. He can't find laborer. We have this man in Iford billing at 2.2 million short. Dr. Satish, you know him. He couldn't get Guyanese labor. He had to get Venezuelan labor to work. So there is job available for people who want to work. The government have enough training facilities through the BIT program and through the TIVET program administered by the Ministry of Education. Over 13,000 people were trained there. And the,
yeah,
and the government offered 39,000 scholarships and
yeah.
And their
over
skills
Gentlemen,
gap.
50,000 households,
yeah,
etc. So they
yeah.
have done a lot to, and Mr. Hain, the government has a poverty reduction program, and they have introduced a lot of measures in accordance with this to reduce the poverty level. I
Yeah,
mean, it will not go away. Look at New York City.
yeah.
They have been existing for centuries, and the poverty level in New York City is 19%. In
But
America,
Yeah.
7%.
if I could debate, no hurry if I can quickly intervene
We
here.
we really up to
Um,
program time here.
just
Okay.
quickly, just 1 minute.
Yeah. Um,
Guyana is in the best position right now than any country in the world to reduce poverty. Any country in the world. We have said that we're going to give money to the people. That's one of the direct cash transfers. The most brilliant economist in the country said it, Dr. Clive Thomas. And the current vice president, Buccaneer Bar Jagdeo, said no. It's not sustainable. It's gonna be make people lazy and so forth. And then he was giving $100,000. But again, that's not enough because most people who got $100,000 within 3 or 4 days, it's done. I think Dr. Tara Singh has forgot that inflation is really high in Ghana as well. You go to the store. I can I can
and
uh I can think I looked at eggs. I love eggs.
Yeah.
And in
yeah,
2019 I bought eggs at 800. And now a crate of eggs is $1,600 in less than 5 years.
yeah.
That
So
tells you the
Colin,
inflation.
Colin,
I,
I'm sure you and Dr. Tara could be back in Globespan.
yeah.
Well, you agree, Albert? We'll
I,
bring them back to have a debate on cost of living,
Yes,
corruption,
that's gone up all
etc.
over the
well,
world, so that's not a
Yeah,
PPP
yeah.
mistake. I
So
mean, that's all
cost of
over the
living,
world.
But
cost of
Guyana is
living is
suffering because of it, and we
cost of
could
living
relieve
is
it.
yeah,
so
yeah.
high.
I would
We have
schedule a
relief
date.
measures. We have
I
oil money.
Yeah,
America is
I
no
would
different
schedule a
too.
date for both of you to be back in Globespan to have an extensive debate on those areas. But I really want to say to my brothers and sisters, to all of our Guyanese living abroad, living in Guyana, we are at the juncture, we are at the crossroad with the oil wealth that we have. Guyana could become a first world country, but we need to become first world thinkers. We need to behave like first world. We need to have our responsibility. And most of all, we need to have our check and balances. Winner
Hmm.
takes all, one voice does not work. Colin, I also want to humbly request that you have been so professional on Globespan in all of your previous appearance, and I really would like to keep that professionalism going. Uh, the call of the vice president by that first name that you labeled just now. In the future, I humbly request that, Colin, that we would address them as they are, and some of them we don't choose, but they are the leaders per se. I want to leave off tonight. I did say to the viewers that we would have a program on every night, but we've decided to take Saturday as our Sabbath, so we will take our Saturday off, and also going into a Sabbath Sunday, we will be back Monday night with a very big panel, and we will be taking in live feed from Guyana, reporting coming in from all different regions, and as the poll close, we would also be bringing you up to date in terms of any information that's coming out from the polling station. So we have about 6 to 7 people that's going to be on the panel for Monday night reporting in. I want to leave on one last note, and I really want to leave on this note with Mr. Mohammed Amil Khan, who was posting that, we're taking from Mohammed and all. Devin, could you just bring up that picture? Of this picture Devin is going to bring up. I took this picture about 2 weeks ago. It was in Eisenhower Park in New York, and it really demonstrates the sort of level of political maturity that we need to have. You could take it off now, Devin. It is to say that in spite of our political beliefs, or in spite of our political alliance, we could still be brothers and sisters to each other so that Guyana in itself could benefit. So I want to ask all of you guys to bring in an additional dimension into Globespan tonight. It's the last program before the election takes place. And I want to bring in the God factor into Globespan. And I want to say this is beyond, these problems in Guyana are beyond us. They are entrenched, the infractions, the hurt, the division is on all sides. The Afro side, they're hurt, they're disappointed. The Indo sides, the Amerindian sides. So this problem is bigger than us. And the short-sightedness by some of our leaders, I'm not saying all, the behavior patterns tend to drive a deeper wedge among us. So this requires a God intervention. So that factor that I would like to bring into Globespan discussion tonight and ending the week before election is that I'm asking each one of you to join me with a specific request to God. And all we are asking God is that his eyes goes to and fro, seeing the injustice done to all its people. We are asking God to allow our eyes to see what he is seeing so we can call forth his will for Guyana. So that's the God factor I want to bring into all our brothers and sisters. And that's the comment too I wanted to point directly to Mr. Amal Khan that we need to look beyond our personal interest and certainly be able to see in a clearer way what is it really that's affecting Guyana. Brothers and sisters, count your cost. Count the cost when you're voting. And I want to wish everyone a good weekend, a
Can I
peaceful voting day.
have a closing
Absolutely, I'll give you that
statement,
as well.
Nohar? Just a minute.
Yes, go right ahead.
As the highest elected official of the Indian Guyana of Little Guyana, the largest diaspora outside of Guyana, I want to show you what Cherry Jagan gave me. And he has blessed us, but we have to follow his teachings of love and unity. And Jerry Jagan was never a racist man. He was the epitome. I saw Ralph Ramkalan last night on your program, and I regretted to hear that he was kicked out of the PPP. We cannot dispose of the people who have been the stalwarts and the foundations of the PPP in this manner. And we've got to accept when we are wrong, we are wrong. No one holds a brief for any party here. I myself am a born PPP, but at the same time, we are making statements to help Guyana get better and telling you why you need to unite and you need to come together, accept the results. We don't want 5 months of bed sheets and spreadsheets and fake stuff and become the ridicule and the laughing stock of the world. Like folks said here, we have territorial sovereignty. We must live up to it. The British, we are no longer colonialist mentalities. Grow up, feed your minds, be proud of who you are, and be proud nationalists. Your enemy is not your brother Guyanese brother and sister, it's not your neighbor. It is the people who come in there to take your wealth. You have to tell them to be fair to all Guyanese and to deliver for you, everyone from top to bottom. They must not teach you democracy. That must come within you and love your brothers and sisters and respect each other. Don't treat the other candidates like people born well come from Mars. They're Guyanese just like yourself. Embrace them, bring them in, and wherever they work, put them on the procurement boards, put them on the various allocation of contracts, And one last thing, everyone who runs for office over here must fill out an integrity form. How much money you got, verifiable, all the assets, even held in third parties, sister name, brother name, or who. And then you reconcile that against the contracts you've awarded and reconcile that against what you have given out. So that way you have integrity in government. Nobody owns Hall, nobody owns Guyana. There'll be no sort of pirateering or buccaneering of Guyanese wealth. And there's no monopoly of Guyana because Guyana belongs to all, including us in the diaspora. Because when time comes and Guyana get problem with flood and everything else, and we need representation in Washington and Congress and the United States Secretary of State and the President of the United States, we are the ones who are standing to tell us that. So don't treat us like second-class citizens. Embrace us too and give us
Thank
our
you.
due.
Thank you. And Dr. Tara Singh, just 1 minute.
Yeah.
We on closing time.
There are many things. I won't moralize here on anything. Because what is very important, we got to understand that as a country move forward, all attitudes will die, take a long time to get rid. You need to transform people attitudes as well. You have nice social and physical infrastructure. It's a modern era we go into, but we still are embedded with the old values and attitudes. So we got to work hard to get it done. And a challenge for the new government will be to work in the social area, social issues like domestic violence, like fatalities on the road, suicide, wife beating, which is very prominent, and these things. The social sector, we need to elevate it to center stage politics. We can't treat it on the periphery anymore.
Yeah,
Because too
absolutely.
much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Honorable Baldir and Dr. Tara Singh and Colin, who has to go catch his connecting flight. Mike Singh got caught up in a meeting out in Guyana. We thank Dr. Bisram for his contribution reporting from the ground. I want to thank all of our listeners, our fellow Guyanese brothers and sisters. Thank you so much.
Thank
Let us
you.
have a safe and a blessed election season.
Yeah.
See you guys on
Thank
Monday.
you.
May democracy prevail.
May democracy prevail. Thank you. Have a good night.